Hi, everyone. Melissa Hughes here, and I am so excited that we're going to be speaking to giant Mari Puras with Insight Marketing Touch and Transcend the Story. I am the founder of Live Rich, Spread Wealth, where it's all about embracing all of who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the quirky, the experiences, and supporting humanity in a positive way while you make room for the abundance that provides. And I'm so excited that Mari is here today because, oh my goodness, she is a giant. And we're really excited about our upcoming movie that's coming, Live Rich, Spread Wealth, the global movement, abundance is your birthright. So Mari, thanks for being here today. And if there's anything you want to tell the people about you, by all means, go right ahead. Tell a little bit about your beautiful business and what you've been up to.
Well, I have two businesses. One is serving corporations, and I focus on insights industry, which is all about marketing research, understanding consumer behavior, or business to business customers. And it's kind of going in that direction, and where there's so much in the insights industry, but what I'm really passionate about is understanding consumers' experiences.
Yeah.
So this is all the what they call CX. It has to do with with behavior. How well is the business serving the needs of the consumer at every interaction they have with that business? So this is like a huge industry, and there is a lot of learning to be done. On the other hand, I also am very passionate about personal development and helping this. I feel this is my life's purpose. This is what I'm here, and this is where I want to be for the rest of my life. And it is serving individuals, organizations, communities, and society in a whole, and to how to transcend their experiences. So it's one of my programs is called Transcend the Story. So it has to be identifying those stories, which are kind of those limiting beliefs that kind of hold us back to what is our true, authentic power in this world. We stay small, we hold ourselves back, and there's so much that we can do. I mean, we have all the solutions to world's problems within our heads, our brains, and our hearts. And it's just a matter of living up to and waking up to that purpose. And I think if we all, instead of focusing on what we don't have or how hard it is to live what we have, and if we focus on how can we be part of the solution, we will have the world that is just kind of heaven on earth. So that's what I'm about. And one thing I'm really passionate about is that life is a blessing. And blessings come from life's greatest moments, but also our darkest hour. And we'll talk more about that. Right, Melissa?
Absolutely. So Mari, it's really awesome, your life purpose and the fact that you are answering that call and you are doing that for yourself, for your family, and for your community. So talk to me about what does Live Rich, Spread Wealth mean to you?
For me, it means freedom. It means total freedom to live the life of your dreams. It's not about the money. It is so much more than that. It is about living in abundance and being certain that abundance is always there for you, that it's not something that you have to be worthy of. You don't have to earn. It's something that we can always have, and it's always accessible. It's a matter of how to learn to, instead of resist the abundance that was given to us, is allowing it to happen and be ready to receive it. And that's what Live Rich, Spread Wealth is for me.
I love that. It was so interesting that when we were in Dubai, we went to Dubai and you were a speaker there. And what I love is what I am definitely humbled by is to be able to come alongside giants and see kind of where you're starting, where you're going. And the fact that you were a speaker in Dubai, sharing with the community what it looks like to change your story, transcend your story. It was remarkable. So when you're saying freedom, I saw you in your trainings really free some of the participants from the stories that were really holding them back. And so when you say freedom, I'm like, yeah, she definitely takes a stand for that, because I have seen that authentically happen as you show up for others. So talk to me about what keeps you up at night.
What keeps me up at night is my family, is how do I teach them everything that I've learned in a way. I get a lot of resistance from them because there's generations of learning and programming there. And the way I'm showing it to them is just by who I am and how I'm being and how I'm accomplishing things in life. And it's something that's just a day by day. But my kids challenge me a lot.
Yeah.
So I have, and they're my greatest teachers. So I know they are part of my mentors in life, but I'm also serving here to be a teacher for them too. And also a brother. I have a brother who he had a brain tumor at age 21. And he has struggled all his life with health issues, and he wasn't able to accomplish what most people would have accomplished, having a family, a career. And it's getting to a point, how do I inspire him to continue? He's just a miracle of life.
Yes.
But it's very frustrating for him, the challenges of that his health has, from his experience and why he had to go through that. So
Right. It's so interesting because as giants, like, first of all, family. Oh yeah. I mean, that's, I can relate to that. Family is, the gift that we get when we arrive. Right. And so you're absolutely correct. The generations, thoughts, beliefs, just depending on where you're from, your culture, your environment. There's so many things that we are programmed. I mean, and we're just walking and breathing this air. And we make it normal, like then it's our normal, if you will, not knowing that when you come out of that breath and you go to another place, another environment, wow, everybody isn't thinking that way. Everybody isn't doing things that way. I just, I love how you're right. Our kids are our teachers, but yet we're also responsible to shed light on them. But I also appreciate the fact that you're saying, look, I'll be the model, I'll be the model, and it's kind of hard to tell them what to do a lot of times. But you can be the model, and we can all be the model for them. And as we live our best lives and you live your best life, then they can at least see what it looks like. And then they get to, model that, just like we modeled our families in our environments as well. So talk to me about this. If you could have dinner with any three, first of all, and also I'm sorry about the challenges that your brother has experienced, because we're all giants. Giants come in different forms, and as a result of his challenges, it really has, sounds like it's really been impactful of you and the family to know the importance and not to take the liberties that you have every day, to know that there are giants there that have other challenges, and yet they're still persisting. But even a giant needs encouragement. All of us need encouragement to keep it moving and to treasure what we call life, and to still understand that no matter the circumstances, we are still gifts. So I appreciate you for honoring your brother in this conversation as well. So let's talk about.
Hold on. One thing I wanted to add about my brother, and it's the beauty about him. He says that his illness was life-saving for him. So my brother, learning from him that he's some kind of like an inspiration to transcend the story, and that life is a blessing. Somebody who says, how can you say that a brain tumor is a blessing? And my brother learned that at 21 years old.
Wow. That's amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love it. And I love how you're sharing him with us in this conversation too. It's very special, actually. So yeah, you're right. That's a real that's real. Totally real. Yeah, it's a giant, right? And I love that. So talk to me about, if you can have dinner with any three people that are alive, who would it be and why?
Well, I would love to have dinner with my great-grandfather, who was, I believe he was one of the youngest of about 6 brothers. And he broke the family tradition of getting an education and going into priesthood
Mm,
to come to America from Spain.
wow.
So he traveled, and this was like, I guess it was in 1800s. He traveled from Spain, just that whole like, I'm going to leave my whole certain life,
Yes.
the path of my family, and he got married and do something different and going somewhere he had no idea of
Wow.
how to get started in creating something completely new. I would love to have a conversation with him because that takes guts.
That takes a
That
lot.
takes courage.
Yes. And it takes following your call, like literally.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pure form. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. All right. And so who are the other two?
Other two, I would love to sit down with Oprah, and I know this is just a matter of time. Eventually, this conversation is in the making. Why? Because when she left her program and to open up a network, and everybody's like, why is she doing this? She doesn't, like, everyone's like, you don't need the money.
Mhm.
You do not need to do this move. You can just take it back, and just that inspiration that she had a message to do and a purpose which was bigger than herself, to go into a network which was not easy, when she started, and there was a lot of obstacles in the way, and just what she's accomplished in life, and also being able to bring the conversation of spirituality into life as just a general conversation, and how to integrate it into who we are, and help us bring tools that were typically reserved for religions,
Right.
and bring them into just mass media, and be part of that conversation about working in personal development and spiritual development.
Yes.
I definitely want to have that conversation with her, because
I love it.
she's been an inspiration to me, and also because I have aspirations as to how to use the media to
Yes.
be able to spread the story that of abundance,
Right.
to really focus on in news. Typically there's a news bias, which mostly we are attracted to negative news,
Right.
to the murders and the wars, and what's the tragedy, the natural disasters, not the general interest story or the great humanitarian stories, and the good news. The good
Right.
news doesn't sell. I worked in newspaper, and I worked in research. The good news doesn't sell. Our biggest days were the days of the greatest trauma. And my goal when I left the media was, I have to help people how to make a better choice. Make it a choice of, do I want to continue this negative news bias, which I'm being fed, or do I want to shift and expect better stories and search for better stories? So I am on that mission, and I know Oprah's doing that. So I'd love to have a mentor and talk to different people who are working in that space, because I think we have to create more balance in the media.
I love that. I do love that. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely remember, of recent times, when we had this big pandemic, and what really fed the news, which was the data was important, and what was going on and informing was very important. But in collaboration of that was a lot of fear and a lot of mayhem. And it really glued a lot of people to the TV. And it's like you're constantly looking at this, you're constantly feeding this negative news, sure, to get an update, but then it kind of turned into something like a vicious cycle, if you will. And yeah, I think that the good news would have just went by the wayside. It's like that didn't matter. So it is interesting how that is, how they can be balanced out, because they both exist, but to show more of good alongside the bad, because then people can choose more. So I love that. I love that. So wait a minute, what about the third person?
The third person, I'd love to sit down with Jesus and have my first supper with him.
Yes.
It's been 2,000 years, and we have like the tradition, the written tradition, the stories,
Yeah.
in the Gospels. but I'd love to have the perspective, a fresh perspective, from what we have evolved and what we've learned today to really understand the message.
Right.
Because I think 2,000 years ago, as a society, we weren't ready to listen to parts of the message. And I'm definitely sure that the message today would be interpreted a different way. Not that it's wrong how we did, but it's just
Right.
like it's just an evolved view of it. And I think I'd love to have that conversation.
I can understand that. I understand where you're coming from with that, because I can relate to that actually.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different time, and so how do we bring the same things, the same meaning to the existing times? How do we do that? So I love it. All right, cool. Man, I tell you what, so basically, what do you feel like is the hardest challenge that you've had to overcome in your life?
The hardest challenge was letting go of generations of scarcity mindset and the shame and blame mindset, which coming from a Catholic upbringing, which, is kind of like you're not worthy from the moment you're born. You're never worthy. You're always to blame, and you're always wrong. You were saved, but you're wrong. So, and I think that it takes a long time to learn different, and in learning that you can design your life experiences.
Right.
You don't have to live the life that you got. You can actually create the life you want to live.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah, that is pretty significant, because once you put your mind, you shift your mindset, and you make a decision to choose differently, there's a lot of things that can just be unfolded from there, which is quite beautiful. So tell me, how did you get where you are today? Like, how did you get to you having your businesses, coaching, consulting, doing what you do now? What did your journey look like?
My journey, wow. I'm going to just kind of summarize it because it's pretty long, but I studied, my father's a physician. He's very big. And I was very interested in the science, especially in biology, and, just marveled at how the human body works and how perfect it is. Even when we try to improve or mimic, what happens naturally in the body, we don't do as great a job. And there's so many processes and so many steps that can go wrong, and they don't. I mean, what it goes wrong, it's minimal. I mean, it's just an amazing body and system. So I'm fascinated by that. But I did not see myself working in healthcare.
Okay.
I love the sciences, but it just wasn't my calling, my vocation. And I kind of had a journey as to finding who I am and what I'm about. And then I determined that I was going to bring the sciences and work with consumer behavior. So that's where I entered insights, understanding, how they buy, what they buy, how can we help them, understand the products and services better, the communication, to get to know a brand, to build a brand image. And that's the work that I did, and I love it. I think it's really fascinating, and especially this part of how to understand the experiences that consumers are having, especially with the service companies. Each time you call customer service, each time you have an interaction on an online platform, when you order, when you buy, all those things. That's kind of like all those transactions for me. That's very inspiring. And then I kind of had this knowing that I wanted something different. Yeah. And it wasn't until I had like one of these hard life experiences, which I call it my blessing. That's where I ended up saying, well, life is a blessing, and there's blessings from many difficult experiences, and the good ones too. But I had a fire in my home. And I was living and this fire, I kind of noticed that it wasn't just a fire. It was like a spiritual experience that I had, from the sense that I was living in a very toxic relationship. It wasn't good for both of us. It wasn't good for my children. And as I say, we had a lot of lumber, spiritual lumber within our home, that it came to the point that it was so much that it actually manifested a fire. It's like what you think, what you live, what you experience sometimes ends up being manifested into reality.
Right.
And sometimes that can be an illness, and it can be something else. In my life, it was a fire. And when that happened, and I feel that I was saved because we could have perished that night.
Yep.
But it was kind of like the event that had to happen in my life. It was that moment that I kind of was awoken, literally awoken by something bigger than ourselves, and just kind of look outside and check it out. And then I realized what was going on in my home. And I noticed, I'm here for a purpose. I'm not here just to live and to exist and to continue living in this toxic environment for myself, for my children, even for my husband at the time. It wasn't good for any of us. And it was time to change. It was time to create a change. And that's when you and I connected. And just, I was a person that I wasn't comfortable sharing my voice or my opinion. I didn't feel that I should, or people would be interested in. I had panic attacks, and it was very hard to be in speaking in front of people, being on videos as we are today.
Yes.
And when you have your life purpose, you're inspired. And I am a person who was picked or selected to bring a message.
Yes.
And if I would have seen myself and known this, I would have never done it, because I was terrified to be in front of people and to share what I think and about my life and experiences. But definitely, when you go through an experience like that, it transforms you completely.
I love that. I mean, it's so deep, the journey, and I really appreciate you sharing, because oftentimes as a giant, people see your business, they see, all the things that you've been able to accomplish, but oftentimes we don't have the opportunity to hear, well, how did you become this phenomenal, transcend your story, customer experiences, like all of these things. So, like you said, even in the challenges, there can be blessings. So as a result, I'm happy that we're talking with each other today. So tell me about the 3 most influential people in your life and how they have impacted you.
I am going to go straight with my family, and 3 people that have been very significant in my family. My grandmother, on my mother's side, she was a phenomenal woman, very strong, independent. And from her, I learned, to be able to manage and be on your own, that you don't need to depend on anybody. And also, she was not a quiet person. She spoke her mind too much sometimes. I mean, she sometimes, her truth could be very offensive or very, very strong, because it was her opinion. Yes. But she was not afraid to share what her thoughts were. I mean, so that's what I get from her.
Right.
And from my father, I learned a great work ethic. Also the part of being a healer, the part of, he is a medical doctor, but I mentioned before, I feel like we come full circle, because I see myself as I am healing people's mindsets, people's thoughts, so that they don't have to go to a doctor. Because it is already proven that if you really work on that mind-body connection, there are illnesses and there are situations that you may be able to transform and to completely change your life. So that's where I see that we share, a similar calling. It's just that I am working in a different space.
I love it. That's pretty cool. I love it. Yeah, I mean, healing comes in different forms, which is what's so beautiful. I mean, people, yes, do think of the traditional healing professions, but there are people that heal through their voice, through their message, through their song, through, bringing their other people's energy up through entertainment. I mean, there's a lot of ways to heal. And I love the fact that you've been able to identify that and that we get to experience that as well.
Yeah.
So what's giving you hope right now?
Oh, and I'm missing one.
Oh, what's the other one?
My mother's the third.
Yes, your mother. Okay, cool. Talk to me about my mom.
My mother, she is a mother of 5 children.
Wow.
We moved about, oh wow, how many times we moved? Say like 6 times, 6 or 10 times in our lifetime.
Mhm.
And we were about 6 years apart, like 5 children. So
Wow.
she is moving, pregnant, and she moved from one country to another and packing everything up because my dad was busy working and she was in charge of the family. And she was such, her love, her service, she's so creative. She has so much energy. And I'm always inspired by her because she has more energy than I do. And she's, she's much older than I am. So it's like she's 20 years older than I am. And I wish that sometimes I could have her energy and her drive. And her love. She's always a yes person. So if ever I need anything, she's there. She's there for me. She's there to support me, even if she's in a disagreement with me. So I think that's a beautiful thing.
That is a beautiful thing. I do love that. So you said you're a grandmother, your father, and your mom. That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. So then let's go forward. What brings you hope right now? What is giving you hope right now?
What's giving me hope is what I'm seeing in the world, because I am focused on what changes people are making after the pandemic and seeing the conversations, how they're transforming, how there's so many more voices talking about how the pandemic brought new ways of being, new ways to work. Like people, this whole like great resignation.
Yes.
People are looking for another way to live. And they're just searching for how to do it. And I think it's a great moment because I think as a society, as a world, humanity, we can change the mindset where right now we're so focused on consuming and the lack of things and focusing on the experiences of life.
Love it, love it, love it. There is a lot going on in the world. You're right. And that resignation is a real situation. I mean, it is very prominent these days. So I could totally relate to that. So if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that life is a blessing, that not to take life so seriously, but she was like all about perfection and so it's like if you're trying to be perfect, I mean you can never be free or happy. And have more fun, just have a lot more fun, and that there's no way you can mess up your life. Even if you try hard to do it, there's no way you can mess it up.
Okay, cool. Freedom in that. I got you. Thinking an 18-year-old. So you're saying have more fun. There's no way you can mess up. And everything, life is a blessing.
Life is a blessing.
Cool, 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 cool. So what's the most important thing that you've learned in your life? And what was your life before learning it? And what was your life like after learning it?
I already mentioned my experience with the fire.
Yes.
So that's one that we can bring here, but I'm not going to repeat it because we already talked about it. But another thing that I learned that was very significant on my trips to retreats with Live Spread Wealth movement, just learning to embrace uncertainty. I mean, that was such a great lesson. I was perfectionist, control freak. And the experience that you and I went, that we were both in the Caribbean, going through hurricanes, getting ready to go on this trip.
I'm in St. Lucia. There's a hurricane going on. We're supposed to go to Bali.
Go to Bali, and we might miss our flights and not get there on time and have to rebook and just learning to make a bold request,
Mm,
miraculous request, and have it be met and exceeded by
right.
the universe, by God. I mean, that was mind-blowing.
So let's
And it
unpack
was such
it. Let's unpack it a little bit. So if anybody can imagine, because Puerto Rico does have a lot of hurricanes. I mean, you guys have a lot of hurricanes. And in that time, with so much uncertainty as to was it going to get hit by a hurricane? Was it not? And you're so responsible, which of course is your adulting, like we all are. But you're like, look, I need to make sure that everything is there. Should I leave or should I stay? You as a giant, as it's not new, we have a lot of responsibilities. And you were not sure in the moment, like, is this a good idea? This island might be hit by a hurricane.
Mhm.
And
Not might. It was. We were told that it was.
yes, that's right.
It's
That's
like,
true.
get ready. It's
That's
coming.
true. That's
It's
true.
coming
We were
at this
looking on the
time.
news. Yeah.
It was a definite thing. It wasn't a maybe. It was like definite. Tomorrow you're being impacted, and you and I are talking, and I'm like, should I pack? Should I not? And you told me, make a request, and I'm like, okay. I make a request. The hurricane doesn't hit Puerto Rico,
Yes.
but it were already, all the meteorologists were saying it's coming.
That's
and
right. It really was. Yes.
It was coming. Flights had been canceled. I wasn't sure my flight was going to come. Flights have been canceled, and the other request, because my mom was helping me with my kids, so I could go to Bali for 9-10 days.
Yes.
And I said I didn't want the hurricane to impact them.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to have the aftermath of the hurricane without me being there. The not being with the electricity, the schooling. It's a lot of work and very stressful. And also, I requested that I was very scared to go over, to the Pacific, like to the, across the Pacific Ocean. And I've never done that flight before, such a long flight.
And by yourself?
Hours. It was 36 hours to get to Bali. And I was by myself, and I wanted a smooth ride.
Yes.
And there were protests in Hong Kong airport, and that was one of my destinations. And I was very scared because 2 weeks before the protesters have entered the airport, so I wanted to be safe.
Yes.
So it was my request.
There's a lot of reasons, like legit reasons for you to be scared, constrain yourself, play it safe. Even though it's something that you really wanted to do, but all these reasons are there as to why, should you do it? Should you not do it? And then you make these requests. Talk about a bold request. You're like, okay, here's my list. Here's my laundry list.
No hurricane in Puerto Rico. Prove it to me. No hurricane. And I want a smooth flight the whole 36 hours. I don't want any delays, be stuck at airport, nothing.
Yes.
A smooth flight. And I got that and more.
Mm.
I had a rainbow on my way to the airport. The airplane that I was leaving had just landed when I was driving, and I saw the plane land, and I'm like, that's my flight. Yes. And there I got the alert. The flight landed. I'm like, that's my flight. It couldn't have been more perfect timing.
Yes.
It's like God proving to me, you're leaving. Yeah. You are going. And I'm going to, and the hurricane, I was out in one of the last flights of Puerto Rico. The hurricane did not hit Puerto Rico. It got deviated. And I had 36 hours of really smooth, the best flights ever.
I love that. I love that. That's so significant. It is so significant, and it's very powerful. And you could have whatever reasoning or whatever, but what I want to say is that I was a witness. So I saw it all unfold. And it took a lot of faith, a lot of courage, a lot of, okay, God, I'm partnership with you. So here it is. Like you said, it trusts you. Melissa told you that. And here it is. And you leaned in and you did it. And it ended up being the most beautiful opportunity and experience. So as a result of going through that, because that's not a short order, my giant, Miss Giant, Mari Giant. As a result of that, how do you feel right now with life, and how did that impact you?
Now, every time I start to get like like trying to control a situation, very anxious, very nervous about it, I remember this experience. So it's kind of like I reprogram, I go back to that feeling of the liberation of just let things be and just make sure that I'm very clear as to what I want and just completely trust, embrace the uncertainty. Because from that experience, what I learned was that when you embrace uncertainty, you can actually, it can be like shopping for experiences. So can you just imagine that we have the opportunity to test out experiences before they happen and see if that's what we want or we don't want, to then make our bold requests, and that's what manifests?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, for me, that's kind of like, oh, wow, you taught me how to create a masterpiece out of a blank canvas, because uncertainty is life's blank canvas.
That's right. That's right. I love that. I love your take on it too. It's pretty awesome, actually. It's a unique take, and I think it's beautiful. So, all right, let's see here. How do you want to be remembered?
How I helped people design their life experiences, have a better, richer life, closer to what they really wanted to live. Just with my help, I want to be a catalyst.
Yes.
I don't want to be the guru. I just want to be kind of help shift them, move them in another direction.
I love that. I love that. Wow, that's hot. So how did the Live Rich Spread Wealth movement impact your life? How did the Live Rich Spread Wealth movement impact your life?
Well, we've already talked about many ways from the experiences we talked about, just learning how to embrace uncertainty, how to move from that perfection and controlling certain mindset to completely allowing the blessing of life to happen. Because when you try to control it, I mean, you do not get your best life experience when you're trying to control not living bad experiences.
Right. That's
you do not get it. And it gave me like a framework, and it gave to be able to develop my message, to connect my life purpose with my voice, and to, now that this year we've been able, you've always said it, to be able to connect my life purpose with my corporate business.
Yeah.
So now, you have Transcend the Story, Insight Marketing Touch, which is now merged into being Transcending Experiences.
Yeah.
So we can transcend experiences of individuals, society, organizations, customers. It's all same package and similar mechanics.
Right. I love that. I mean, I think I heard you say transcend business as usual. And I've just been honored to see what you're bringing to corporations, to the corporate lifestyle and things like that. And what I really like is how they're really leaning in. I mean, it does look like there are corporations that are out there that they're also tired of the mundane. They want to be more real to their customers, more real to their employees. They want to really be that level of contribution, not just the bottom line, the profits, but they want an experience within the organization that people feel really good and proud about. And then I've seen you with supporting those corporations with, well, how do you want your customer to feel? What experience do you want them to have? And it's not customer service. It is a whole nother ballgame. I mean, I think that I know from what I've experienced of you and what you're doing in your industry is it's really changing the game. And I see how, as a result of them working with Insight Marketing Touch, how their customers are like sticking more, more productivity around their teams. And business as usual is like transcending business as usual is like kind of cool. It's pretty cool now. And I think transcending business as usual is really appropriate because we have so many different generations now, and they think differently, they act differently, and they want different things. So I really have enjoyed seeing you as a giant take your transcending the story into corporations and see them thrive in such a significant way. So kudos for you for that. So how would you say it was like working with me as far as being in this journey together?
I I feel like you're a partner in my life and my business. I've gone through really difficult moments, and what has been so great is to have your drive. Like, you are an implementer. I am a creator, designer, and the implementation part is not my strength, but that is your strength. So you've helped me stay on course and not derail. And it's been with compassion, so much compassion, because there have been times that, it takes me longer because there's life, there's kids, there's pandemic, everything that's happened. And you have been there supporting me with compassion. Instead of like, hey, you got to do this by this time, it's no, Mari, it's let's do this. I understand where you're at, and it's just so amazing what you're doing and accomplishing, and I'm supporting you every step of the way. So it's not about making me wrong. It's about how you remind me of my purpose, of what my goals are in business. Being able to have those mastermind meetings where I present to the whole group, and presenting my business, my goals, and where are we going. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs where we don't have necessarily shareholders to present these things to make sure that we are accountable for what we said we were going to do. And I think that's been the greatest help, and why I've been and stayed, because during the pandemic, when everything closed off, businesses closed off, you did not allow us to turn off.
That's real.
We stayed working, and you turn on the fire. It's like, people need you. We gotta be on, and I mean, that's when I created the blessings from the quarantines in social media posts. I mean, I posted almost 50, and I think it helped and supported me, and I think it helped and supported so many people. And there's an ebook link for anyone who is interested to receive, because I think the message is still valid today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've had one of your best years.
And it was my best year. Thank you. Thanks to Live Rich, Spread Wealth movement.
Which is great. I'm so proud of you, honestly. And I am so proud of your big heart. Your heart drove you through all that. Your heart for your family, wanting to hold it down to the best of your ability. As a single mom, your heart for clients to make sure that they knew that they weren't going to be by themselves. Your heart for yourself. It was a lot. It's a lot, but you rose, and you rose, and you got to bless so many people, even through social media, through all those things. So I just want to say thank you for that. So
one thing I wanted to add, I know the greatest gift was learning to make requests.
Yes.
Like for when we went to Dubai, it wasn't until the moment I decided that I was going. And at the moment, there wasn't the funds to go. Everything kind of combined, because before that, it was definitely no, not possible. But it was the moment when I decided, you invited me to talk, and like, definitely that's when everything aligned. And it wasn't no, it was okay, this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah, you made a big progress, and you came out on top all the way around. Like, you definitely did that. Energy is real, honey. Energy is real. And making those decisions. So, and staying in action. So that was really cool too. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So, so anyway, I would like, we have this premiere. It's coming up soon. I know you're flying in from Puerto Rico, and we have a whole VIP premiere going on. There's going to be a lot of people listening and watching. And so, they're going to be wondering about you, Mari. What is the easiest way for people to get in touch with you as a result of hearing you today? And, they're going to be seeing you in the movie. What does that look like for you? Can you share with folks as to how they can learn more about you?
To connect with me, like if it's more corporate, I have my webpage, which is insightmarketingtouch.com. And for transcending the story, and the link to the ebook, and there's more information about me, what I'm about, is transcendthestory.com/gift blessings with S at the end.
blessings, gift
Blessing.
things. I love it. I love it.
Blessings.
And you
Yeah.
know, we always talk about, because you know, you're like from Puerto Rico and you speak Spanish. So we're like, one day, for those that are Spanish speaking giants out there, Marie is going to have some really awesome things for you in the future in reference to transcending the story, live rich, spread wealth. So I just love it when giants can collaborate and really dig deeper and see what are new ways, innovative ways to share the message so we can empower all those that we have an opportunity to support. So Maria, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here today. I can't wait to seeing you soon because we're getting ready for this movie. It is going to be amazing. I saw it for the first time a few days ago and I'm like, wow, this is truly going to serve our listeners. And I'm so happy that you're on the journey with me as well. So take care, Maria, and bye for now.